Hi lads, in this video I'm going to go through how to do page 49 and 50 of your Graphic Solutions workbook. So on page 49 we're starting off with orthographic projection, which is basically where you draw multiple views of an object. And it's just shown here in the top left, for example, the elevation. So an elevation is what you draw when you see it looking at the front of the object. So we can see this shape here, the kind of like a backwards L, and we draw that flat onto the page. There's the outline as well shown there. So it tells us for 6.1, when we look at an object from the front, a front elevation is seen. The graphic above shows an elevation. Match each of the 3D solids A to G with the correct elevation 1 to 7, and D is being completed. So basically we look at D first. We look in this view here, so for all these we're going to be looking in at these sides here. And we can see for D, it gives us this shaped outline here. And if we look all across 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7, we can see the 4 is the one there. The closest one we have to it will be something like 5 or 6. But if we look at 5 for example first of all there's no edge coming across here, it just ends at a point. So I would rule out that there. So we can see that sloped edge there and no line coming across before it goes back down in our view here. And then for this one as well, we can see the exact same idea again. Doesn't have a line going across, so that rules out those two straight away, and the rest of them are fairly obvious why they're not going to be picked. Also if 1 would be close enough as well, we can see, but 1 there's no line going across here in our view either, so that's why we pick number 4 that goes with D there. So if we look at A, we can see this shaped outline here, and the one we have to go with that is 2. So I just use my set square just to connect them together to give nice straight lines. So we can see A would connect to 2 there. B, we can see it has a backwards L for the outline first. So we look for all the ones that have like a backwards L. We can see there we have 5 and we also have 7. But as well as that we can see that there's going to be a squash sort of rectangle appear there as well. So you can see, if we look at for example 5, we don't have that squash rectangle appearance there. However in 7 we do. With 5 it connects for example a corner to a corner there for example. So we just connect those two together then. And then to rule those two out. With C we have this outline here and then this outline here, because when we look in this side we can only see that surface there and that surface there. So I'm going to look for all the ones that are left over that have a full rectangular block at the bottom. We can see that one's ruled out. This one doesn't have it going the whole way across like a backwards L. We've already used that one. That one doesn't have it going all the way across, and we only have 1 left over. We can also see, not only does it have that rectangle on the bottom, it also has that slope at the back as well that we're looking for. So C can connect to 1. D is already completed for us, so we move on to E. So the bottom half for E, all you can see is this surface here. That's all we can see looking that way. So we can see it has like a backwards L shape there, and it comes out, down an angle and across. So if we look at 6 for example, has the line going over and up. It does come back across and down an angle, but we can see it doesn't stick straight out again, as in going out this way and down. So that rules 6 out. 5 we can rule out. It doesn't have a slope here for an extra bit, and also there's no slope coming back up this way either as well. So that just leaves us with 3 then as a result. We can see there, it goes over, up, goes out a bit, and it goes down an angle and goes straight across again. All it leaves us then is with F and G, and the 2 ones we've left then are 5 and 6 above. So if we look at F, we can see we have a backwards L and we have a triangle there as well. And if we look at 5, there we have that backwards L and we have that triangle shape as well. But with 6, we don't have that. It's just a solid shape going all around. There's no extra bits. So that gives us F connecting to 5. And then obviously G is going to go with 6. But just to make sure, we can see it goes back, up, out a bit, and then slope down. Same idea here, back, up, out a bit, and then slope down. So G can connect to 6. And that's what we call looking at it as a front elevation. So what we see when we're looking at the front of the object there. So it's telling us here with the arrow where to look. For the next one, 6.2, tells us when you're viewing an object from above, a plan is seen. So when you look down on top of an object, that view is always known as a plan. And the graphic above shows a plan. So you can see there's the 3D shape there, and when we draw it on paper, we'd see that shape there. We see a rectangle here, and we see another rectangle here. And we see the difference between them. One is white, and the other is like greyed in then as a result. There's the white one, there's the grey one. So it tells us then match each of the 3 solids A to G with the correct plan 8 to 14. So with the first one, with D it's actually done again for us. So D here is connected to 14. So we can see when we look down this one, we're going to see a rectangle. No other lines drawn, just a full rectangle. We look across all of these here. It's the only one that has that rectangle drawn. For A, we'll look at A first. So A has 2 rectangles, and you can see that one is slightly bigger than the other. And if we look down into our views below, we can see this one doesn't have 2 rectangles, it has this angled bit here. This one's divided into 3 rectangles. This one is divided into 2. This one is divided into 2 there, but you can see it's a lot bigger on this side here. And then there to our left are divided into 3 and 3. So we can see here that 10 would be the one that would connect to A. For B, we can see that there are 2 angled ones there. So we can see this white one and the grey one. So we're looking for at the top line here going across that we're going to have a sloped line. So the only one we actually have with a sloped line is 8. 8 is the only one that I can join with. For C, when we look down top, there's 3 different triangles. There's this full length one here, so if we look for all them ones, there's a full length one at the front of it. So that rules out this one, it stops here. And the only other one that actually has a triangle going that way is 12. So we can connect 12 and C together. And you can see there, we have another triangle at the back there, and we have another one there in white and grey. There's our white and grey one there and there. So D is already completed. E is the next one. And we can see there's 3 different triangles. There's 2 white ones and a grey one in between. Now if we look down at what we have left, this one only has 2 triangles, and 13 is the one that has a white, grey and white, which matches this one here. And then that leaves F. Oh sorry, there's F and G. So F is the first one we'll look at. So when we look down top, we're going to see 2 triangles running this way, so going horizontally, and 1 triangle going vertically. So if we look at 11, there we have our 1 triangle going vertically. So there's only 1 rectangle here left overall, which leaves us with 9. We have 1 rectangle going vertically and 2 horizontally. So F can connect to 9, and that leaves us with G connecting to G connecting to 11. So we have this bigger rectangle here and the smaller one there. The white one is behind the grey one, white one behind the grey one again. So we can connect G to 11. And that completes activity 6.2. For activity 6.3, let's move this up a bit. So you can see, it tells us, explain what is meant by the following terms, and then can you think of an example of each view. So front elevation. So basically we learn from the elevation So we look at the object from the front. So in your notes, it'll just basically tell you to put in there, when viewing the object from the front, a front elevation is seen, and then the example given is looking at the front of your house. For a plan view, it tells us, when viewing the object from above, so basically what we see looking down on top, the view we see is called a plan. And you could put down an example there, is a plan of a house. So when you look down on top of your house, what can you actually see? So generally the example in the video will show floor plans, so what each of the rooms look like when we look down on top of them. See how much space you have in each room and where everything is going to be put. Then activity 6.4. Using the square grid provided, sketch the orthographic view as indicated by the arrows. For each question, identify if the view is a plan or an elevation. So the first one we can see here, it's an arrow pointing in at the front. So that's going to be an elevation. The arrow is pointing down, it would be a plan. So what do we see when we're looking at the front? We can see this outline here. It's going to be a rectangle, and it's going to be 3 blocks wide and 2 blocks tall. So it's told as well to sketch, so we don't use any rulers or set squares for this. So I'm just going to start here. So I'm told it's 2 blocks high, and that's 3 blocks long. So 1, 2, 3, and just as neatly as I can, I can draw out my square outline, and then I can lightly draw in my blocks that would divide up each one. So there we can see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And also what you can do is, if you have colours there, you can actually colour in what you can see as well, so you make sure you get the same outline. So for me, I'm just going to shade them in here for now. So for the next one, we have this backwards L, and the arrow's pointing at the front. So it's going to be our elevation once again. So make sure to note each one each time. So elevation, and I write elevation here as well. So there are my two views. So what I can see is, I'm going to have 3 blocks on the bottom, and then it's going to go 3 blocks tall as well. So I'm just going to start down here. The outline is 1, 2, 3 blocks long, then goes up 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then it's also 1 block wide. That'll go down to there. That'll go across to there. And I can then draw in my blocks then individually. So I can see 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And just shade in there what I actually see. So this is all I can see. I can't see this part here, this part, this part, this part. I can only see that part there when I'm looking at the front. So I'm just going to pause the video for 1 sec while I turn around the sheet. Right, and for page 50, I told you to do activity 6.5, 6.7, 9, 11 and 13. But if you want to do the rest of them, you can. I just picked the odd numbers because there's enough of them on the page ready to do anyway. So for activity 6.5, first we determine what view are we actually looking at. So the arrow is pointing at the front, so therefore we're going to be drawing an elevation. So put that in there, saying elevation. And what can we actually see? So the outline we have there, going all the way around, it's an I shape. So let's put in colour there. What I can actually see. So that's all I'm going to be able to see. I can't see the sides here, or what I see looking down on top of it. I can only see what I'm looking at the front. So I'm going to draw on that eye outline. So I can see there first of all is, the base is 1 block high and 3 blocks wide. So I'm just going to start with the bottom here. It's 1 block high, 3 blocks wide, and then it comes in 1 block each side. And I'll just draw in my blocks there like that. So that's my 3 blocks at the bottom. I'm not going to go heavy all the way across, because it only goes across heavy to here, then there's a gap between, and then it's heavy outside there. For the middle section, it's 1, 2, 3. So 1, 2, 3 up. And there I have my 3 blocks in the centre, and then I have my 3 blocks on the top as well. So going across there, up, and go over to 3. And that gives me my eye shape there that I'm going to see for the actual front elevation. The next one, 6.7. You can see that once again it's pointing at the elevation, it's looking at the front. And what can I see? If I get my colour, if I look in this way, I'm going to see this block here. I'm going to see this block here. And behind it there's 2 more blocks. You can see this one, and even though it's partially covered, when we look at the front we're still going to see that block there. So it actually would be drawn in there, but you can't see it because of this edge blocking it. So everything's going to be 1 block wide in total, and we're going up 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you're unsure, you could always count the height of these in total. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4 there as well. So I'm just going to draw in my 1 block wide. That's going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have our blocks going across there as well. For the next one, it's going to be 6.9, and once again it's looking at the front. So I put in my elevation there, and what do I see when I'm looking that way? I'm going to see this block here, this block here, and this block here on the bottom. I'm going to see this one here in the next row, and this one, and I'm also going to see them 2 as well. So I'm going to do once again, I'm going to focus on the bottom row first. So it's 1 block high, and it's going to be 3 blocks wide. So 1 block high, and then it's going to be 3 blocks wide then. After that then, it's going to be 2 blocks. So you can see 1 here just above this one, and 1 here just above that one then. Now with these ones it doesn't really matter actually if you draw the lines in heavy in between. With this one here it shows the lines are light in between, but these ones are actually given solid edges here. So what we do is we put solid edges here in between the bottom 2 there, and then we can see there's a solid edge between these 2 here. So we're able to draw the solid heads there, and this one's heavy all the way across there. We can see, if I just rub this one out, we can see that it's light here and light here, so it's going to be a backwards L that's going to appear, and it's upside down as well. So we can see it goes up 1 more there, goes across 2, and then down, and this one's light here, this one's light here. So you can see like the backwards L is drawn there, and then we have our 3 in the bottom, and then this part here as well. So you can see the light lines and the heavy lines. But once you get the main idea of actually getting the shape right, that's the most important thing. For the next one then, it's activity 6.11. So this one down here. So once again it's pointing at the elevation. So make sure we put that in. And what do we see when we look in this way? Just start with the bottom first. So you can see you have that red box there and there. And we look, there's also 1 more sticking up here. So it's going to be 1, 2, 3 rows high and 1 wide. Stuck to that one. So back a distance is going to be 1 here. We can't see the rest of it, but if we were to get rid of this out of the way, you'd be able to see it coming down in there to draw on that last little bit. And then we have 2 more on this side. So I'm going to start off here first with it. So I'm going to start off on this side. So I can see it's 1, 2, 3 in total. And in between the first and second is a light line. So I'm going to draw that 3 high. And see it's a light line between them two, and then it's heavy between here and here to divide the bottom two and the top one there. So just move it up a bit more. So we can see this one here, it's connecting to this one here, which is in the middle row. It's not connecting to the bottom row. You can see that on this section here, which is all the middle row, that block is connecting to that one. And we can see there's a light line in between where it's going to be an L shape. So that goes across to there. This goes across 2. It's going to be 1 block there, 1 block there, and it goes up 2 as well. And that's going to be light between there and there. So you have your L shape there, and then you have your 1 heavy block above and 2 below. And that completes that view there. And the last one, once again, it's an elevation. So all the ones we've actually done are elevations. So what I'll do is I'll actually do like maybe this one as well, just to show a plan view. So the elevation. We'll start off with this side here. So what we can see is, you can see them two there, and this one. And behind this, it's going to be 1 block there, and 2 more going across. And behind this one, it's going to be 3 more coming up. There's 1 more in between. So this is a tricky enough kind of one. So once again, I'm going to start off with the left hand side here with this. So I can see it goes up 2 and then another one to make 3. So I'll draw the first 2 first, and the light line in between, and then we have 1 more above that. So then we can see the 3 going across. They're on the bottom row. So you can see here, there's the second row attached there, and there's 1 row underneath, and that's in line with the bottom. So that goes across from this one. It's a total of 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. It's not this 3 further ones. Remember, this one is in front of this, so it's only 2 more. So there is 3 there, but we can only see these 2 here, because this one's going to be blocking that view behind there. There we have our next 2. And then we can see behind this one, there's 1 more going up. So above this one, it's going to be another block there. And then there's also going to be 1 in behind it. So you can see in behind there, there's going to be 1 more behind there, but we can't actually see it. So that's what we're going to see in terms of that view there. So then the last one I'm going to do, just going to do activity 6.8, even though you don't need to do it. This one's the plan. Look at the arrow, it's pointing downwards. So what do we see when we look at the plan? So use a different colour, use green instead of red for the plans. We can see this box here, you can see these 2, and them 2 as well. So when we look down in our plan, we can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and divide 2 separate boxes there and there. So 1, 2, and another 2. Draw the light line in between, and then from the back row there's 1 sticking out here. And that's our plan view there. So what we see when we look down, so there's 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then the 1 sticking out there. And that completes pages 49 and 50 of the book. So hopefully that helps anybody who may have been stuck on it.